everybody, and welcome to the Silent Hill Ascension pre-show. I'm Eduardo, joined here by the, as always, lovely Noah. And Noah's going to do a grand pleasure for us as production puts up a run of show for you, the audience at home, explain what we're going to go through.
So, welcome everybody. We are here on our pre-show. We are here on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 5:40 Pacific Time PM. Then we have every day a new episode of the show on weekdays at 6 PM Pacific Time. And right after that, we have the post-show on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Perfect. So, again, if you're here, you know it, but you love to hear it. Silent Hill Ascension is a socially interactive streaming series where all of you collectively shape and experience its ever-evolving story. You're going to collaborate and compete with others to try to make the choices you want to see happen. When the decisions end, that choice will lock in as canon. That's the version of the show everyone sees. When people replay the episodes, that's what occurred. This is a canon story shaped by you, the participating audience, every day. Now, what we like to do is to make sure that you're up to speed. So we're going to throw on scene a kind of a setup scene. So essentially, Astrid and Britt are going to meet up to discuss, their meeting with Hogan. But there's going to be essentially a podcast from a new character to the show that's going to reveal to everybody who the prime suspect is in Orson's disappearance. This is quite a lengthy scene but I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Pay close attention. And it's time for you to watch it.
I can't believe I'm in a bar. Especially after last night. My thoughts have been so jumbled since I came back here. And those little voices in my head are saying, have a drink and everything will make sense. I just want to shut my brain up. Astrid? Are you even listening? Hey, are you okay?
No, Britt. Papa just tried to commit me to a mental institution. So I'm pretty sure I'm not okay.
I'm sorry. That had to be rough.
There were these orderlies who kept trying to shove pills down my throat.
That's funny. Because back in rehab, the orderlies tried to prevent me from shoving pills down my throat.
It's not funny.
I know. I'm sorry.
Can I get you anything else?
We're fine. Thanks, Leo. So, I heard you were at the station. Is Haugen putting the search back on for Orson?
No.
Why were you there then?
Oh God. Britt. I'm in trouble.
Astrid. Talk to me. What happened?
Haugen found a glove in my car.
A glove? What glove?
Orson's. It was covered in blood.
Why was there blood on Orson's glove, and how did it get in your car?
I don't know.
Astrid? Did you do anything?
No, goddammit! And how could you even say that?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean... This is bad, Astrid.
I don't need to be told that.
I mean, this is really bad because Niels is back in town.
So?
He's a podcaster now. Has quite a following.
And why is that bad exactly?
Because he talks about true crime. He covered that killer in Brussels. Did an episode on those cult murders in Sweden. And now he's talking about us. If he finds out that you're under investigation... Look, a new episode just dropped. Let's listen together.
Hello, faithful listeners. We have some major developments to talk about. Not only has Orson Johansson's disappearance escalated into a murder investigation, but the prime suspect is none other than Orson's mother, Astrid Johansson. Apparently, the police were led to this gruesome discovery by an anonymous tip. How could a mother kill her own son? What a monster.
Shit. Everyone knows. I'm so fucked.
Hey, don't freak out.
Too late. Wait. When did you find out Niels was back in town?
I don't know. Not that long ago.
Have you been in touch with him?
Of course not. Why would you...
Because you walk in and say he started this podcast, and Niels suddenly has all this secret information about the investigation. Did you say anything to him?
Stop. You're being paranoid. I'm your sister. We'll figure this out together.
Together?
Why are you looking at me like that?
Were you the one who turned in Orson's glove to Haugen?
What? No. How could you say that?
Let me guess. You thought you were doing the right thing. Where are you going?
I don't have to listen to this. I'm so sick of your endless accusations. You've treated me like shit my whole life, and I'm done.
Go ahead and run away like you usually do.
You know what, Astrid? You're just like Mama.
Welcome back, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed that scene. I mean, there was a lot in there. Again, that line at the end, "You're just like Mama." After we've seen everything about Ingrid, quite the insult here. Right, Noah?
Brutal. Yeah, while we were watching it, I was telling Eduardo that I went through all kinds of emotions watching it for the first time. I feel really bad for Astrid in this whole thing. Her dad wants, first of all, what's this like gaslighting that Carl is up to? He saw monsters himself. He just got blamed for Ingrid's death, and he doesn't believe Astrid all of a sudden. Now, it was full of twists and turns, this scene. You know, we got introduced also to Niels and their podcast, the True Crime podcast, that is actively pursuing this investigation of where is Orson, with Astrid being the prime suspect. And I don't know, I was like watching Brit and I was like, I don't know if I trust her. Like, I what do you think, Eduardo? Do you think she gave the glove to Haugen? She's coming from a rehabs. She doesn't know anything about being a single mother.
No, I mean, you're correct here, right? Carl essentially not defending. It's really funny. In like a week, it feels like Astrid is being left on her own. Like all her support around her is collapsing. It's just unbelievable. By the way, we have, again, we'll spoil this in the post show. Chat is a little bit doing a comeback. Locust in our chat is saying that both myself and Noah were wearing white, associated, and we're dressed properly for the ice bar. But of course, we were just watching, it makes sense, right? We were watching Brit and Astrid from the other side of the bar. We want to make sure we have the right perspective shared with all of you at home. But no, that's the thing, Noah. You are correct. Everything around this is kind of weird, and I wonder how Astrid's going to deal with this. That to me is the main question, because so far Astrid, like from the audience, decisions have been really on redemption. There was one or two, a few choices that were a little bit different, especially I remember that suffering option with regards to her mother, and a damnation option with Brit recently as well. Now we're gonna actually start talking about Fate and Hope, because that's what matters too, is like the long-term arcs of our characters. Noah, if you could explain a little bit about Fate and Hope.
You know, I love to explain about Fate and Hope. Decisions and endurance scenes and the puzzles, all of those contribute to whether or not we'll face redemption, suffering, or damnation in the grand Silent Hill Ascension finale. And their fate is decided, of course, across the season. So a character's hope needs to be high enough for them to survive a crucial story moment. So, Eduardo, what does that mean?
Sure, of course. So one of the key things from it, right, is that basically, if you think about the decisions as like moments in time, the kind of fate is the some outcome of those decisions over time that are impacting the characters, whereas hope is kind of what's going on with them, you know, as they go through the story, events happen to them. So those will knock back or allow them to feel like things are going well enough. Now, one aspect to see that is that the characters where you can influence the decisions have hope. They have a hope meter. So when that character disappears or dies, in the case of Toby, for example, that hope vanishes. When that character is somebody whose decisions you can affect, such as Eric, that hope is there. You get to essentially affect the characters that have hope through their fate. But hope, again, as you mentioned, Noah, endurance and mindfulness puzzles. Now, one of the big things with this, right, is that essentially for you, the audience at home, to do that, you need influence points to actually interact with this, on our story. But Noah, influence points are something that the audience essentially can get throughout their Silent Hill Ascension experience. If you could explain a bit more about how they work.
Yeah, so once a decision is made by the audience, as by now you might have already realized, it is canon. I know it's hard to believe, but it's gonna be there forever. There's no reset button. It's canon. So these decisions are defined by the influence points that you, the audience, use to participate in them and influence the narrative. So the more influence points you have, the more sway you will have on the decisions you care about. So you can earn influence points by taking part in endurance scenes during the live shows, and we'll have an example in a bit, or by doing my favorite puzzles, or alternatively, you can get them via direct purchase or a season pass.
Right. Thank you so much, Noah. And by the way, we're going to have an active decision on screen. So this one is not closing today. This is something that's ongoing, but that's going to be up on screen. And essentially, Noah, if you could read that to the audience, and then we'll kind of like walk you through like the outcomes here, because this is active and this is something you, the audience, can interact on.
Right, so we have here, what will Astrid do with Orson's bloody glove? And again, that's a fate decision. So she can turn the evidence into Haugen, which would be the redemption, or accuse Haugen of planting it, which is the suffering, or destroy it, which is the damnation.
Right. And here the big thing, right, is this idea of essentially, what do you want Astrid to do? Astrid doesn't know why that glove is there and is starting to suspect, you know, is this me? Like, did I have something to do with this that I don't remember? So as a result, well, here's the thing. With the redemption choice, by giving it essentially to the detective, implicit trust in the detective aside, she's going with, like, essentially, I want my son. That's what I need to do. But then you have the option of like accusing Haugen, which allows the evidence to exist, but not accusing Astrid. And then you have destroying it, which, I mean, you know, she's trying to find her son. So that's a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, I understand why that would be the domination option this time. Sometimes I have to be honest, it's a bit cryptic to me why this one is suffering, because I don't know the full picture, but this one makes perfect sense. I totally jive with that. By the way, I see that Coyote Wildfire says Toby is alive in our hearts. We all remember him. We all saw what happens when a character's hope isn't high enough to face a crucial story moment. He could have lived happily ever after somewhere warmer. But in this scene that we just saw, and like with the glove, so what would you do in this situation, Eduardo? This is like a tough one. Obviously, like, you're right. If she destroys it, she destroys evidence of where her son went. And you're also right that it's the gaslight in full effect. She actually doesn't trust her own brain anymore. And I can understand that. I've been there, man.
Yeah, and that's the key thing, right? Because you know, aside from the fact that destroying evidence is obviously like a crime, here that's not really what I believe is the crux of the argument, right? Because it's not really about the relationship with Astrid and, you know, the law. It's the relationship with Astrid and her son. Like, what links is she willing to go to find her own child, and what is she willing to do for it? Because after all, if people are starting to converge on her, then that becomes a question. Like, there's not, you know, she's not necessarily, you saw that interaction between Astrid and Britt, and like clearly like the interaction with Haugen is fraught. You know, we had multiple times where Haugen was like, oh, sorry, your mom's gone. Oh
yeah, oops, I lost your mom's body. Oh,
oops, that's gone.
Yeah.
So the thing is here that we're essentially in this position of, oh, well, okay, I essentially have to go. You know, if Astrid turns in the glove, she's kind of leaving herself at the mercy of others. So as a result of that, that's a really dangerous spot for her. But, you know, she's a mother. What's more important, herself?
Right.
Her child?
But you know, that's another good point, because she can't find Orson from prison. Even though I have seen some pictures of Scandinavian prisons, and dude, it looks great. It looks better than most rental apartments where I'm at. So,
To be fair, we live in different parts of the world, different expectations. But, that aside from Norway here, it is almost time for a show. We're a couple of minutes off. So what we're going to do is production's going to throw up the endurance scene that you're going to go through. Noah, if you could describe essentially what our viewers are going to have to live through.
yeah, one of our main story characters grabs a pistol, but it was next to something not quite dead. The character then enters the room only to find themselves surrounded by fighters, human-like figures chasing them. You'll have to help them dispatch these horrors by timing your inputs on the screen. So as the character exits, the pistol is blown away from them by the stinger. A lot is going on here. And one of you, the audience members, you will appear on screen as a cameo to shoot the monster down, help the main character before being chased down, and probably eaten alive, saving our character.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Is essentially you, the audience at home, are going to have to interact, because if a character fails too many endurance scenes, their hope goes down, they may not survive future encounters, and they might just die. Rip token. Now, one of the things, a benefit of you being here live is that these endurance scenes are a great place to learn large amounts of influence points. So that's what's going to allow you, the audience, to have good impact on the story. So again, thank you for being here and tuning live with us on the show. We love that you chose to spend your time with us. Really appreciative. And again, if you succeed or fail, so to speak, in those scenes, don't worry, that's just what's affecting the story. It's not a judgment on you. Don't see it as that. See it as a way to kind of have a little bit of chaos introduced in the story, so it's not just we know 100% what happens. That way there's a little bit of a mystery, right? And that's an important part of these endurance scenes, is they're kind of a way for you, the audience, to get mystery into your Silent Hill Ascension experience.
Yeah, get some mystery into your life. Join an endurance scene. But yeah, it's like, I love that we can influence with the endurance scenes, and we have been collectively getting better at them. So like poor Toby had the unfortunate luck of being when we were getting to know the system, but now, death doesn't stand a chance. Fate doesn't stand a chance against our amazing powers. By the way, we are 2 minutes away from the show. So Eduardo, can you please recap what we had here today?
Sure, of course. So again, you got to see that scene. The Rick kind of came on the scene. So one of the things is we focused a lot on Pennsylvania, if you've been following our show for kind of since the start. But now things are really changing up in Norway, right? The monsters are appearing in Pennsylvania, but in Norway, the action's heating up. Literally, there's just a lot of interpersonal drama, and Astrid now starting to become the character that everybody's eyes are converging on as a result of the disappearance of her son. So that's really what it's about. It's about trying to figure out the interpersonal conflicts in Norway and to see what's going on with the monsters in Pennsylvania, because let's be honest, who doesn't love a good monster? Now, as a result, we're going to be back after the show. For our post-show, we'll debrief what we saw. We'll also look at some development updates. So that'll be at the end of the post-show, so do stick around for that bit. Now, all that said, we really hope you enjoyed the show. We're going to have to sign off for now so that you do get a chance to enjoy it. It's going to be at about 40 to 30 seconds. This was Eduardo. I was joined by Noah. Enjoy the show, and we'll see you right after.